On a humid day in Washington, Detective Morty is called to Earth to investigate the murder of Jerry Smith, a local unemployed husband and father. It is found that he was suffocated, and the crime scene indicates signs of struggle. After inspecting the crime scene, Detective Morty was able to extract DNA evidence in the form of hairs found in the area surrounding the body. Since there are no signs of forced entry, Detective Morty suspects that whoever killed Jerry has to have lived with him. This means the four suspects are Beth, Jerry's wife, who resented him for being a jobless loser and a dimwit; Summer, Jerry's daughter, who has no respect for him and hates him for not having a job; Morty, Jerry's son, who blames him for making him dumb; and Rick, Jerry's father-in-law, who hates Jerry for being a loser and stealing his brilliant daughter away, and also for being a bum. Detective Morty collected DNA samples from each of the four suspects and amplified them for 2 different VNTR loci. He then ran them on 2 separate gels using gel electrophoresis. By doing this, he was able to compare the suspects' and victims' DNA to the crime scene DNA. The individual who killed Jerry will have to have their DNA bands match the crime scene's DNA bands at both loci. At Locus 1, we see that Jerry has one band that matches, but not both. This tells us that the DNA evidence does not belong to Jerry. We also see that Rick and Morty both have bands that match those of the crime scene sample. If we look at Locus 2, we see that everyone but Rick has at least one band that matches the sample, but in order for the killer to be determined, both bands must match. However, there is a reason some of the bands look so similar. A child's band comes from each of their parents. This is why Summer's top band matches Beth's and her bottom band matches Jerry's. Morty got his bottom band from Beth and his top band from Jerry. And in the same aspect, since Rick is Beth's father, she got her bottom band from him, meaning the top had to have come from her mother. And while all of these samples have similarities, the only ones that match the crime scene sample perfectly are those of Beth and Morty. Since Morty's sample matches exactly at both loci, we can only conclude that he is the killer. And as Morty is being arrested, he cries out repeatedly and denies having anything to do with the murder of his father, which gets Detective Morty thinking. Yes, Morty committed the crime, but Morty from which universe? Here are my sources, and thank you so much for watching.